Hey everybody, it's Charlie. We finally got a look at Mysterio in Spider-Man Far From Home. So there's all kinds of stuff we have to break down. I'm still doing that Spider-Man PS4 game giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a Spider-Man related comment on the video. Probably freaking out about Mysterio. So what's going on here? Obviously, they're just continuing to film this extended fight scene between Spider-Man and Mysterio that we've been talking about for the past week or so. Spider-Man is still wearing his black costume, Mysterio in a full tech suit, which obviously flows a lot from the tech energy that you saw during Homecoming, like the Vulture based on tech, all trickling down from Chitauri Tech during that big Avengers battle in New York. Like even though Spider-Man's villains are mostly animal-themed, they're all influenced by tech mostly. It won't be till we get X-Men and mutants in the MCU that we'll see more biological powers, but I'll try to reference that later too, because that gets into Norman Osborn. Spider-Man obviously has biological powers because of the spider bite. But I think one of the coolest things here, though, is that we actually get a version of comic book Fishbowl Mysterio. So obviously he's not wearing it right here, but there's a lot of people that have been saying him walking around on set. There's a version of the fishbowl, as realistic a version as you could do in a film like this. So I wouldn't expect it to look exactly like you see it in the comics. Like, it does look a little bit silly, so it'll probably be toned down just a little bit. But everybody was wondering about what was going on with Jake Gyllenhaal. He'd been rumored as Mysterio for so long. These pictures, even though the footage is a little grainy, these pictures just confirm that he is Mysterio during the film. They do get stunt doubles for the really dangerous scenes, but it looks like they've already done that and they're filming more close-up shots in this fight here. Like, he's up close to him, they're actually like punching each other in the face. So usually when there's big explosions or during like the Coney Island battle at the end of Homecoming, then they incorporate a lot of special effects and green screen. So like Michael Keaton himself was never actually standing near open flame. That was all done later in post-production. So this actual big carnival fight doesn't seem like it's going to be their last battle from the movie, but because scenes for movies are filmed out of order, there's no way to tell when all the characters go to the Czech Republic. But I'm guessing because they start their slow progression on the field trip that they're on across Europe in London, that London is relatively early in the film, then they make their way to Venice, then they make their way to Prague. That's where they're supposed to be right here. Even though they're not actually filming in Prague, this is doubling for a carnival in Prague, Czech Republic. So it is cool that they're trying to film as much of this in the real world as possible, but you have to imagine they're going to beef this up in post-production a lot, so there'll probably be way more stuff going on in the background. And even though a lot of the scenes that we've seen with Spider-Man in his black costume are practical, with a version of Tom Holland and his stunt double running around on this set, there will probably be a lot of CG Spider-Man web-slinging around that they'll add later when they do special effects. The funny thing about Jake Gyllenhaal in this scene, too, is that he's got the same beard that makes him look almost exactly like the pictures everyone was posting of him earlier this year when he was first rumored to be in talks for the film, way before they were ever filming any of this. So it's almost like Marvel told him, well, we want you to seem a little bit older than Spider-Man because Jake Gyllenhaal seems pretty young when he's clean-shaven. Could you please keep that beard that you have in all the pictures that people have been posting of you all year long? I think it's a pretty good choice. Like, they still want Spider-Man to seem like he's really, really young. This is supposed to be during his junior year in high school, so even though some time has passed since what's happened during the Avengers Infinity War and Avengers 4 movies, he's put on a whole lot of city miles, he's still sort of a kid fighting these other big Sinister Six characters. So the drone in the background that you also see flying through this scene with the green lights on it, it could just be a camera that they're using on set to capture more footage of this big battle, or it could just be a reference for something that they'll replace with Mysterio tech later in CG. Because remember, Mysterio, he's a special effects wizard. He'll be using a lot of theatricality in his fight with Spider-Man during the film. The really cool meta thing, I think, too, about them using the Quentin Beck version is that you talk a lot about the big special effects that people use in these Marvel movies, especially with Infinity War. Quentin Beck is a master of movie special effects. That's where he came from before he became a criminal. So it becomes this really cool meta thing. So it'll be interesting to see where he gets a lot of his technology from. If they go back to the Tinkerer or if there's someone else that he's pirating tech from. There's still a big question about how they're going to use Infinity War and Avengers 4 to influence what goes on in the future of the MCU, because Homecoming made really good use of the Battle of New York. Like, there was all this alien tech left over from the Chitauri invasion, so it'll be really interesting to see if any of the new Spider-Man villains going forward use anything that's left over from Infinity War and Avengers 4. A lot of that will just depend on the way that they fix things at the end of Avengers 4. But when we learned about this big carnival scene last week, I did a video about the black suit Spider-Man versus Mysterio fighting fighting each other at a carnival in the classic comic books. I'll link that at the end of this, because there are a lot of Easter eggs and references for Spider-Man's original comic book battles with Mysterio, but in the way that Homecoming changed a lot about his original battles with the Vulture, they're going to do the same thing with Far From Home. There'll be a lot of cool comic book Easter eggs, but a lot of the story will just be built on what they've done so far in the MCU. That's the beauty of that Sony sharing arrangement. They can use plot devices from other movies that aren't necessarily Spider-Man, like Avengers and the Battle of New York. So theory time, now that we know that Jake Gyllenhaal is playing Mysterio, we can throw out a couple of other villain theories that I've seen pop up in the last couple of days. It was so funny yesterday when this video dropped. A couple of websites I saw pop up in my feed were trying to suggest that maybe he was playing Norman Osborn secretly and JB Smoove, another actor, was playing Mysterio. But then right after they were posting that, below that post, this video popped in my feed. So it immediately, born theory, then died on the vine within a couple seconds of each other. So it should be said that I don't think that there's any weird trickery going on here. I definitely think that Jake Gyllenhaal is playing Mysterio and he is fighting a version of Peter Parker in a black costume. They're not trying to trick us or anything like that. But there are other members of the Sinister Six that have been confirmed for the film. Vulture, the Mac Gargan Scorpion from Homecoming, the original Chameleon from the comics, who was the stepbrother of Kraven the Hunter. Then there were rumors about a fifth member, Hydro Man. Now, technically, he wasn't really a member of the Sinister Six, but you have to imagine 5 big villains showing up. Who's the sixth? Obviously, they're building towards Sinister Six eventually. There was that scene that Tom Holland posted of a Spider-Man fight scene with someone in the Venice canals of him getting blasted with water. Doesn't necessarily confirm Hydro Man. Could have just been Mysterio. But what I think is going on is because Jake Gyllenhaal is such a big actor and he's playing such a classic character, I still think that he's the main villain of Spider-Man Far From Home, and he'll be orchestrating or be behind anything else that the other Sinister Six comic book characters are doing in the movie. Early post-credit scene theory, though. After Spider-Man has won the day, defeated them, they're in jail, one or more of them meet and discuss forming an official quote-unquote team, aka the MCU version of the Sinister Six. And that's sort of your tip-off that there will be a third film and it will be a legit Sinister Six film. And while they have enough high-caliber actors and A-list villains to do a Sinister Six movie without Norman Osborn Green Goblin, it kind of feels wrong to leave him out of things completely. But post all your theories in the comments below. There's all kinds of Marvel stuff happening this week with New York Comic Con, so I'll leave the giveaway open all week long. I'll just remind people when I post my next Marvel video. But click here for that other Spider-Man Far From Home black costume video, and click here for a new Ant-Man and the Wasp Avengers 4 deleted scene. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.